We're just going to do those modified box plots. They're called modified because that's where we actually like mark off the outliers and make new mins and maxes in case we have those. So the ones that we saw on Thursday, it was Thursday, right? Yeah. Didn't have any outliers, right? So we didn't have to worry about putting those X's or those asterisks or however you want to draw them. You didn't have to worry about drawing those in. When the regular box plots, we call these modified box plots when potentially, we do have those outliers. So same ideas though that we've been working with. And hopefully, although I know we've been doing a lot of different things, hopefully you start to see that this 5-number summary is really important to us as we work through figuring out how to graph it and what's the shape tell me and how can I compare them. We're actually going to do that tomorrow. We'll put a couple box plots side by side like we did with those student A, student B, and student C from test 1 and 2 to try to figure out, all right, what's happening or how can we compare these two or whatever's going on. Because that's what I want to do. I want to actually start analyzing some more stuff. So call this one modified box plots. Lesson 6B, there'll be a spot on Canvas as usual for you to upload your stuff. Trying to get you lots of opportunities to get some easy 5 out of 5s just by doing the work that we do in class. So that because you can probably feel like this is a lot more of a traditional approach to a math class than last semester. So when we eventually take tests and stuff, I want to make sure that your grade is as good as it can be to help kind of keep you afloat in case the tests don't go as well as the work. So I just want to work through a few examples with you. We'll do them all together so you can hang out and just knock them out. If you feel like once we do the first 1 or 2 that you're just going to do it yourself and you're just going to mute me, cool, that's fine. You don't have to listen to me talk if you want to take a break and just knock them out. But I did want to do them up here with you rather than clicking. It's also a lot less work because all those animations is what it takes all the time. Okay, cool. So just kind of jumping right back into it, looking at trying to draw a box plot. Okay, that's what I want to do, but it's going to take finding the 5-number summary, seeing if we have any outliers, using that, I got to find the IQR, and then using the formula for the lower boundary and the upper boundary, deciding if there are any outliers, and then picking a new minimum based on that. But doing this by hand, which I enjoy more than the Google Sheet stuff, because there's not that many numbers. If there was 50 numbers here, I would definitely jump to Google Sheets, but 10, 20, that's not that bad. All right, cool. So finding the minimum, nice, because they're already in order, as are all of the problems today, to save us a little bit of trouble. Minimum, of course, is 79. Maximum, of course, 111. There's your biggest one. Okay, and this one I'll do just me, and then maybe I'll employ you guys to help me out a little bit in the next one. Okay, and then we find the median. Okay, so although they're written in order this way, we really just find like the first one, the last one, then we find the middle next. Okay. Easiest way to do that is to start crossing some stuff off. So 79 and the 111, 81 and the 108, 83 and the 95, 86, 91, 87, 90. And I get to the end, and there's 2 of them in the middle. I can't cross them both out. I got to make sure that when I look in here, and I see that I've got 2 left, that I find the average. I find the middle between them. So halfway between 88 and 89, add them up, divide by 2, or just say, well, halfway between 88 and 89 is 88 and a half, right? So 88.5. Okay, if there was an odd number of points, we wouldn't have to worry about that, but it looks like we've got 12, right? Score of 12 members of a women's golf tournament play. Create a modified box plot. That's what we're going to try to get to, but we have to find the 5-number summary and see if we've got any outliers. All right, so we still have those other 2 numbers to find, right? Q1. So I look at the bottom half, okay? And since I didn't use 88 in that bottom half, when I start crossing stuff off to find the middle, I can actually cross off the 88, okay? So 79 and the 88, 81 and 87, and then it happens again, right? I've got this 83 and 86 that are left over. Maybe not quite as easy to see the middle because you've got some space in between them. So if you want to be sure, add them up, 83 plus 86. Take that result, like press enter, and then divide by 2, see what you get, okay? And you'll see that that answer would be 84.5. there's our Q1. Right, so min, max, median, had to find the average there between those two. And then for Q1, I had to do it again, right? And if I had to do it for Q1, pretty good chance I'm gonna do it for Q3 here, right? Top one there, and then 89, cross that one off. Because we didn't actually have that as my median, so I can cross that one off. 108 and 90, and then there they are, right? 95 and 91. Just gotta find the middle between those two, and you can do it by adding them up, seeing what you get, pressing enter, right? Divide by 2, and then going that way, or you can just find the middle. Okay, well, the middle between 91 and 95 is 93. Cool. So that's a bunch of stuff we've done before. So hopefully that clicks pretty well for you at this point. And that's what I like about the way we've hopefully designed this, is that although there are a lot of new ideas, we're starting to use them again and again and again, and that'll kind of get them to stick a little bit better, right? All right, so when we want to figure out if numbers like 79 or 81, some of the lower ones, or maybe some of the bigger ones, 111, 108, maybe some of those are outliers, so that we can draw our box plot really well. I need to test for those outliers and figure out where my boundaries are. And remember, a big part of that formula was finding the interquartile range. Finding the IQR is going to be a big part of how we do that, right? And it's just seeing how far apart they are, that Q3 minus Q1. So that's not the whole test, but that's an important part of it. So I'm just kind of jotting it down in the space that I've got up there. Okay, Q3 was 93. Let me switch colors. So you can see where the formula ends and the actual numbers begin. 93 minus 84.5. Okay, and this is not the kind of thing you have to do in your head. I mean, seriously, I'm just jumping in my phone right now, taking out a calculator. You should always kind of have that nearby. Makes it a whole lot easier to do all this stuff that we're going to do, because we're going to do it kind of a few times today. 93 minus 84.5, 8.5. Perfect. Okay, so there's my IQR. That's how far apart Q3 and Q are from one another, okay? The formulas for the outliers are going to use that number, okay? But remember what the formula is for the lower boundary. I take my first quartile and I go a little bit lower. Okay, so my boundary isn't really 84.5, it's going to be less than that. Okay, how much less? 1.5 times the IQR less. Okay, 1.5 times. Here's my formula. Right? Q1 minus 1.5 times as big as whatever the IQR was. Okay, so Q1, 84.5. Minus whatever 1.5 times 8.5 is. In my phone I go. Let the calculator do the rest. I'm just going to plug it in exactly like that. Now for me, in order to write parentheses, I have to turn my phone sideways so I can draw it in like that. Otherwise, it'll subtract 1.5 first. We don't want to do that. 84.5 minus, parentheses, 1.5 times, my phone uses the X for time, so that's cool too, times 8.5, close parentheses, equals 71.75. That is my lower boundary. And so if I have any numbers lower than that, then I've got some outliers at the bottom, okay? Well, I know I crossed it out. Let me erase it for a second so you can see it again. But my lowest number is 79. So I'm good. That's my lower boundary. Like for me, my outliers kind of start here and go that way, right? 71.75 would be somewhere over there. So I am good. Do I have any lower outliers? No, I don't. I'm good. My minimum value is still 79. Okay, so maybe you just write that just to be safe. Okay, I know it's not new. I'm even going to cross out the word new. It's not new anymore. It's just my minimum value. All right, that was a lot, kind of all at once. Questions up to that point? Are you feeling all right? Those of you that are nice enough to actually turn on your camera so that I'm not talking to blank screens, thank you. I appreciate that, because this sucks. Staring at blank screens doesn't help. So thank you guys for being here. Good. Those of you that are, all right, cool. Let's do it again. The Q3, really, really similar to the last one. It's just we got to get bigger, right? This number right here is not where my boundary is. It's bigger than that. It's further up, right? It's Q3 plus some stuff, right? Q3 plus 1.5 times that IQ. So I just take a second and I drop it in. I'm the kind of guy that says, all right, formula first, then I'm just gonna drop the numbers in, and then I'm gonna let the calculator do the rest. Q3, 93, plus 1.5 times that same IQR, same thing, 8.5. Calculator does the rest. Clear it out, 93 plus, oh, sideways, so I get my parentheses. Parentheses, 1.5 times 8.5. Equals 105.75. There is my upper boundary, right? That highest point where everything bigger than that is kind of too big compared to all the other numbers, okay? And they're still there. I still want to keep track of them. They're important, but, and I'm just going to erase it so we can see, right? Right, 105.75, and that is here. Right, it's in between that 95 and that 108. Right, everything bigger than that. So 105.75 is kind of right there. Everything bigger than that, these numbers are outliers. They're too big, right, compared to everybody else, right? And so considering the situation that we've got, these are scores in a golf tournament. If I was gonna make a cut, let's say from one day to the next, they're gone, right? That might be an easy way to trim the field down like they do in actual real golf tournaments, right? I don't know if anybody plays golf or watches a little bit of golf, but you've got 4-day tournaments, and they've got these days, correct me if I'm wrong, I think it's after day 2. If you have a certain total score, you're too far away from everybody else, they cut you from that tournament, okay? So yeah, any upper outliers? Absolutely. We've got 108, and so I'm just gonna put a comma, and 111, right? Those numbers are too big. And so for me, my new maximum doesn't include those. Okay? Now, of course, I know what my biggest number is, it's 111. But when I draw my box plot, my modified box plot, to really centralize the data a little bit, I'm going to pick the number that is not an outlier. For me, my new maximum that I care about is going to be the highest one that's left, 95. Now we can draw our modified box plot. I'm just going to take a picture of this because when I go to my next screen, I got to get rid of all that. Cool, there we go. Now I just draw the same thing, but I'm gonna use 79, 84.5, 88.5, what does that say, 93? 93?
90, yeah, 93.
And my maximum now is 95, not 111. Okay, so I'm gonna go to my next screen. I gotta get rid of all this though, because it just kind of writes on top. Okay, now I have to scale out what I've got. Now, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to write down those numbers so I can remember what they are. All right, so my minimum, Q1, median, Q3, max, and then I didn't have outliers at the bottom, so don't worry about those. I'm just going to write these down so I don't have to keep going back to my phone. Okay, so my minimum was 79, Q1, 84.5, median 88.5, Q3 93. My new maximum is 95, and I had a couple outliers, 108 and 111. Now I still want to make sure that my scale can fit all of those numbers. It's just that my box plot, those last two numbers, I'll just put like little stars or something. So I got to make sure that I can go from 79 to 108. 111. So if I started at 79, let's just see if it works. So this is kind of like me, like I would maybe like say, all right, if, I don't know yet, if that's 79, can I go by ones? Let's see. 80, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 90. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 100. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 109 is what I get to. I gotta get to 111. And as close as that is, it's not close enough. Right? That's not gonna work. I can't go by ones, so I'll go by twos, right? I'll pick the next kind of nice, smallest increment because I know if I'm that close, twos is gonna be just fine, okay? And you can start right there at that first number if you want, okay? Now, if you write down every single number, you can, right? So it would be like 81, 83, 85, but it starts to get really cluttered really quickly. So usually what I'll do is I'll skip the middle one, right? I know it's still 81 there. I'm just not gonna write it down. I know that's 85 right there. I'm just not gonna write it down to save me a little space. Okay, so 87 I write, 89 I don't. 91, yes, 93, no, 95. And you can do less than that for sure. You can write fewer, 97, 99, 101, oops, 103. 105, 107. So I'm writing a lot down, even still. 109. There's my 111. Good. Now I can stop. Okay. So have a scale that looks something like that. I think kind of starting at 79 here is good. Maybe you don't start your first box as your very first number, but I don't, that doesn't bother me. It's okay. Some people like to have their box plot kind of just exist in the middle somewhere. So maybe they went a box or two in and said, oh, that'll be my 79. I think you have some freedom there to kind of draw it however you want. As long as your scale is consistent, you're good. The nice part about the box plots is really just need the scale across the bottom, right? The up and down is just the choice that we make, but we always want to make sure we find the middle. Remember back to Thursday, which I know was a while ago, but what I always do is I'm gonna mark these points off, these 5 points, and now plus my outliers too, just with a point in the middle of the graph. And so I just kind of visually find the middle. This looks pretty good to me. So I'm gonna put a point, pretty small point right there, 79, because that's my minimum. All right, Q1, it looks like QJ with a I. It's not, it's supposed to be Q1, it just gets all jumbled at the top. Q1, just to make it look better. There we go. 84 and a half. So I just gotta kind of find the best version of 84 and a half. So that's 83. That's 85. All right, so 84 and a half is pretty close to 85. So it's like over here. A little more than halfway in that box, right? Because 83, 85, I gotta be pretty close to 85. Same thing with the 88 and a half. If that's 87, I go by twos, and this one's 89. So 88 and a half is real close to that line too. And I'm just I picked a middle line. I'm just gonna plot some points there. All right, 93 is perfect because that's that box right there, right on that grid line. So that worked out real nice. And my max, 95, okay, it happens to be the box right after that. Nice, okay. And then again, for outliers, draw them however you want. I like to do like X's or stars or asterisks or something like that, not just a point. I'm gonna do an X because it'll stand out nicely. So at 108, so 107, 109, so halfway in between, I'm gonna put an X right there. Okay, same thing at 111, which is that box right there. I like X's, okay? Because nothing about my box plot has an X in it, so it kind of stands out. Also, drawing a star, it just kind of gets jumbled together if they're kind of small. Okay, cool. Now, remember how we draw the rest of this box plot, okay? What we saw on Friday is that our ends, right, our minimum and our maximum spot, if you remember, we just like to go up and down one box to draw that vertical line, okay? So I'm gonna do the same thing over here at my maximum, which is way over here. So your min and your max, I like to go from the middle up one box and down one box to give myself a nice vertical space. For the other three, right, for Q1, median, and Q3, you just want them to be bigger, okay? Now, whether you go up and down 2 boxes, up and down 3 boxes, up and down 4 boxes, I think that's your choice. I'll split the difference. I'll go up and down 3, okay? So up 1, 2, 3, just trying to really stay the same distance away from that grid line. And then down, 1, 2, 3, okay? Straight edges really make these look really nice, but because you've got a grid, sometimes you might be able to freehand to make it look pretty good. And all 3 of these are gonna have that same height. So up and down 3 for this one. I like the 3. Really makes them stand out, and then up and down 3 for this one. Right on that grid line, so that makes it a little bit easier. But you can see, like, I'm not being all that perfect with my vertical line, so I kind of have to like shade it to make it look more perfect. Okay. And so the thing that we want to remember is you've got the box in the middle and the whiskers on the outside. So with your box, you just connect the top and the bottom. I don't actually draw in that middle line in between there, okay? The middle line is for my whiskers. So I draw that line out to the minimum and out to my new maximum with this modified box plot. And now, although it really didn't seem to me like 108 and 111 were a lot bigger than everything else, I mean, look how far away those points are, right? Look how far away those outliers are really lying from everything else. There's the middle of my data. These points are way over there. And it really makes it stand out because what used to be my maximum, like this whisker would have had to go all the way out to there. Now we just put a couple X's out there. So okay, and that's my plan. That's what I'm gonna do, which takes some practice for sure. And knowing what to draw is gonna be really helpful. And so I really hope that when you do these on your own, and you can start doing them on your own now. If you get it, I'm gonna do them with you. So stick around either way, but you can mute me once you feel like you've got it. I'll go a little bit faster now that we've got it down. I think a little bit. You wanna make sure you're drawing these correctly. Like if you draw the line in the middle of this box here, you're gonna lose points for that. That's not how it's drawn. If you forget the whiskers or you forget to draw on your outliers or whatever it is, you're gonna lose points for that. So look back at all the ones that we'll do between last week and this week whenever we get to that point where we actually take a test. Now, whether we test in person or we test remotely kind of depends on if we're back on the 8th or not. Sigmund and I have kind of mapped it out where we could get back on the 8th and then we could actually wrap this stuff up. But if we don't actually come back then, right, the board decides on February 2nd that we're not ready to come back, then we don't, right? But we're not gonna waste time and drag our heels around. We'll just test remotely and it'll be all good. So use your notes for sure. Huge help. Good? I'm looking down at you guys. All good? Questions? All right, sounds like no news is good news. All right, let's do the note. I'm gonna get rid of this one. Okay, again, I'm gonna do this one by hand. You can jump into the Google Sheets if you want, but you certainly don't have to. We could do these by hand relatively quickly. All right, cool. All right, so example number 2. So this is actually from you guys. Sometimes I just sit around late at night and make up stupid questions for your reflection, like how many circles could you see from where you were sitting? Because I was sitting in my living room, staring around my room, trying to figure out what to ask you guys. And I saw a circle. I was like, that's a weird enough question, but not too weird that you freaked out by it. So these were some of the numbers. Now, I'll tell you what, there was a student in Miss Sigmund's class that said that he could see 9,764 circles from where he was sitting. So we're just gonna remove that from this list because of how large the outlier is, which would make our box plot almost impossible to graph, given the rest of our numbers are between like 1 and 100, more or less. So yeah, 9,764, so far away from all the other points, we're just gonna drop, okay? All right, let's find our minimum, easy, 3, because they're already in order. Maximum, 105, easy, because they're already in order. Now, we can find the middle between those. And you can see that because they're in 2 evenly spaced out rows, we've got the same number of points, top and bottom. So as I start kind of chopping off the ends, we're probably gonna see that we're gonna have 22 and 25 left behind because we're taking 1 from the top, 1 from the bottom. one from the top, one from the bottom, one from the top, one from the bottom. And just back and forth we go, trying to make sure I don't mess this up. And there they are, 22 and 25 left over. And so if I want to find Q1, I better find their average. 22 plus 25 divided by 2, see what we get. Jump in your calculator and do that. Again, if you're using parentheses around the top, then you don't have to, you can do it all at once. Right? So if you wrote it 22 like this, 22 plus 25, and then divide it, sorry, close parentheses, and then divide by 2, it'll know to do the adding first. But if you're doing it without parentheses, you got to do 22 plus 25 equals, see what you get, and then divide by 2, you'll find that that's 23 and a half. Oh, I forgot to write down, oh, that's my median, sorry. 23 and a half. So I wish that this was over here. 22 plus 25 over 2. And because we didn't cross those out, right, 22 and 25, to help us find the median, when I find Q1, I do cross it out, right? So the 3 and the 22, the 4 and the 22, 8 and the 19, 12 and the 19, and I get, again, to 2 points left, so I got to average them. Halfway between 12 and 16 is 14. And I'll do the same on the bottom. 25, 105, 27, whatever that says, 34, 50 something, 42, 51, and then I get to 44, 45. And I just find the average between those. And because they're only one number apart, I have to go halfway, 44.5. There we go. All right, so to test for my outliers, to actually work through this, and this will be the last one that I'd love you to stick around for. You have 2 more that you can do. I got to find the IQR first, all right? So that's Q3 minus Q1. And so I just have to drop in those numbers, okay, 44.5 minus 14, minus, and see what I get. Drop in the calculator, type it in, see what you get. You'll get 30.5. And just use the same formulas. Right? Q1 minus and Q3 plus. That same 1.5 times IQR. So yeah, we've got some different strategies that we're using for all parts of these, but we're definitely building on what we already know, so that's good. All right, so 14 minus whatever 1.5 times this big number, 30.5 is. I bet we're going to get pretty negative there. So I don't think we're going to have any lower outliers. Let's see. 14 minus, sideways, parentheses, 1.5 times 30.5. Yeah. Let's see, negative 31.75. My lowest number is 3, so I'm good, right? My outliers would go that way. That's an arrow pointing to the left, if there were any. But I'm good. I don't have. Do I have any no outliers? Nope. My minimum value, so I cross out the word new because it's not new. It's still 3. I'm good with that. Okay. Now I do the same thing up here, 44.5 plus whatever 1.5 times 30.5 is. So this number's definitely gonna get bigger. Let's clear out what we got. 44.5 plus, parentheses, 1.5 times 30.5 equals 90.25. All right, so there's my upper boundary. Now, so I can see what I'm working with here. I like to see where things separate. It looks again like we've got 2 of them, right? So there's that space, right? Anything bigger than that, there's 90.25, kind of between 56 and 97. So I've got these 2 numbers up here, 97 and 105. that are gonna be my outliers, okay? So my new maximum really is at 56. Okay, and you can see, I mean, 56, if that's my new maximum, 97 and 105, way, way far away. All right, so there were people that saw a lot more circles than most of us did. And that's what's really nice about this, is it tells you about the individual and tells you about the group in the same way. So I know that these individuals are kind of outside everybody else, and I know a lot about what everybody was kind of seeing, right? 23 and a half, so 23-ish for most people. Some people saw less, some people saw more, but the super, super big ones stand alone. Definitely stand alone. I'm just gonna take a picture so I can go back and do it. All right, let's do one more box plot together, and then I will send you guys on the way. I want to get rid of this. All right, let's draw it out. So I'm going to write down those numbers again, so we got them. So my minimum was what, 3? So here's my 5-number summary. 3, 14. There's Q1, median, 23 and a half. Q3, 44 and a half. My new maximum is 56. And then my outliers, I'm gonna separate them, 97 and 105. That says 105, not 108. Sweet. So now we gotta create a scale that fits. And because I've got, what was it, like 20 boxes? We went from 79 to 109, 30 boxes. We got 30 boxes to deal with. Obviously going by 1s is not gonna work. Probably going by 2s is not gonna work. I don't even know if going by 5s would work. Like if this was 0, 5, 10, 15, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50, 55, 60, 65, 70, 75, 80, 85, 90, 95, 100, 105. Well, that's pretty good, actually. Nice. Kind of like that. Going by 5s work. Now, but I'm not gonna start at 3 and count by 5s. 3, 8, 13, 18, what a weird place to start. Sometimes it's really nice to start at 1 or start at 0 and go by 5s. Okay, so I'll write every other one. So 0, 5, 10, skip it, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70. So you see I'm skipping a box and I'm writing it by 10 so that every box is really worth 5. I'll get to 110 because that's really all I have to do because I got to get to 105. Now, I have to just do my best. I can't plot these points exactly right, but I just want to either be on the grid line or in between in the right spots. So like 3 is between 0 and 5. Okay, so I just kind of find the middle line, which looks like here, and I'll put it. Perfect. Doesn't have to be perfectly 3/5 of the way in, don't stress that, but be close if you can. Right, okay, my next number is 14, so there's 10, there's 15, so really, really close to that next grid line, but not quite on it. I want to make sure that there's some space there. So no, whoever's looking at this knows it's not actually 15. Ooh, 23 and a half, all right, well, 20, 25, so a little closer to 25 than it is to 20, but not much. 44 and a half is almost 45. I'm almost on that 45 grid line. 56 is my new maximum, so there's 50, so 55, so just a little bit past my 55 grid line. Way out here, 97, so there's 95, there's 100, so 97 is like in between, so I'll go put an X right there. And then 105 exactly on the 105 grid line. Awesome. All right. I'm going to go up and down 1 box for my min, up and down 1 box for my max. And just so it looks different, I'll go up and down 2 boxes this time for my quartile, my median, and my up and down. It doesn't matter. Kind of up to you. But the way that I draw them, it's like I'm kind of drawing them wide enough to like make the points kind of blend in. That's why I want to draw the point relatively small, so when I draw the vertical line, it almost kind of disappears. If it's still there, no big deal, but do the best you can. For your box, you connect the top and connect the bottom. For your whiskers, you make some whiskers. And again, you can really see how far away those outliers are. Now we're done. Good, I'm done. I got to talk to Sigmund, but I think you could probably do these next two on your own. But in case you wanted to work through them together, I'd really like to see how you do. Maybe we can start with these tomorrow. So if you feel like you're really struggling and you want to work with these together tomorrow, I might be able to push back the timeline a little bit just because we talked these through. So if you get these next two done, go ahead and submit it tonight. Okay, but by tonight. If you want to wait and we want to do these together tomorrow, then don't submit anything today. Okay, I'm okay with kind of pushing things back a little bit and working through these next two together because it does take a little bit of practice and working through this. And I've already used up way more time than I really wanted to today because I want to give you guys some shorter lessons. And this one, you know me, I talk too much. This one went a little longer. So hold off on submitting anything if you want to just work through those next two with me tomorrow. And I will see you then. All right. Thanks, everybody.
Thanks, Rose.
Peace.